Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Today I'm going to be making an extension truck camper for the bed of my F-150 pickup truck. My truck is a 2012 F-150 four-door crew cab, and it's very common on the road, probably one of the more popular vehicles on the road today, and they have a 5.5 foot bed. It's my family vehicle. We do all our trips in it, we do all our family vacations in it. I hunt, fish, canoe, do all those adventures with this vehicle. So I don't want to get rid of it. You know, it's been a great vehicle and I plan to keep it for a little while longer. Having said that, I always wanted to camp in the back of it, but I'm 6'2" and the bed is 5.5 feet. So if I put the tailgate down, that brings it to about 7.5 feet, which obviously I could put a mattress in and lay down, but I'm talking more of winter adventures and that sort of thing where I have some things planned where I wouldn't mind being able to just crash in the back of my pickup truck on a road trip and camp in there. So what I'm going to be doing is building an extension that I'll be able to put the tailgate down, pull out, and the extension will go to the edge of the tailgate, which will give me about 7.5 feet of space. Problem is building it, there's some complications with the roof line here. There's 4 feet between the wheel wells of any pickup truck, but it opens up to 5 feet here, so I want to utilize as much space as I can. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to design that and build it. It's really simple. I got just some wood here from Home Depot, some 2x2s, some plywood. I'm going to put some vents in, and I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to do the whole thing. So stand by and I hope you enjoy it. I think it's going to be a great project. Cheers. Okay, I've cleaned up the back of my truck. I took my storage boxes that I had on the sides there, I took those out. So this is what I got to work with. First step is going to be putting this piece of plywood down. It's 4 feet wide by 59 inches length. And what I'm going to do is basically build on this platform. This is just rough cut because I'm going to be putting a finished surface on this later on, probably near the completion of the extension camper. But right now I'm going to have to cut out 2 notches so that around the wheel wells I'll be able to push this in. So basically about 6 inches on each side, about 2 feet back. I'm going to cut those out and then we'll be able to slide this in all the way and then we'll start framing it up. Okay, I've got the corners done, the lower corners, and now comes the hard part. These were all right angles, fairly straightforward to put together. Now becomes the tricky part where I have to measure the angle so that when this is pushed in, my lid of my cap does not come down at a 90-degree angle, it comes down at a bit of an angle, so instead of straight up, I have to cut it at about a maybe a 40-degree angle. We'll see. So I have to measure that right now and design that so this comes in, and then when it pulls out, the lip has to stay underneath here and the angle has to angle out so that water will drip away off the tailgate as opposed to back in the cab of the truck, right? So that's what's up next. This part here is going to go up here and be my first piece. But because the plywood is still pretty flexible and it's bowing, it wants to splay out a little bit. So this piece I've cut to this length at the bottom, but as it goes up, it's widened out, spreading out because of the plywood underneath. I'm just going to use this as a bit of a clamp so I can keep this at a 90-degree angle so I can continue to build the framing up top here. Just going to trim this off, sand this smooth. Instead of having this offset, I wanted this offset. I'll just sand that smooth with this. Same on this side. And this is going to be the doorway. I'm going to have barn doors. The tricky part is I'll have to make the doors on an angle as well. There'll be barn doors to get in. This will all be enclosed, and now I have to come up with the roof angle back into there. So what we have here, this is going to be the door area. I believe this is about almost 40 inches from here to here. It's going to be barn doors. We open up. This is going to slant so that when I slide this in, the tailgate will come up and my glass lid will come down. The hinges from the glass lid of the tailgate should be, well, they're up about this high. They're actually 34 inches from the bottom of the bed of the pickup truck, and that distance is what I need to know here. So this has to be able to, I have to be able to push this in, so this can't be any higher than those hinges. This has to be a little bit lower, so that when I put this on the edge of the tailgate and I slide it in, the highest point will be here, which will still be lower than the hinges of the glass door of the back of the cab. So that's my high point. I need a slope so that when the glass window of the cap is open, there's obviously a channel of water. If it's raining, it's going to get down there. So in theory, the water is going to drip through that crack onto the ceiling of my camper here. This is going to be waterproof, so there's good enough slope where the rain is going to slide off. I have some weather stripping here so it doesn't go in the door, slide down and onto the ground and not seep back into the cab. So the tricky part was coming up with the height, the angle. Now I have to draw a line here, cut a couple of these, give it some stability. It'll be more stable once the plywood is on. Right now you just have this shell that's kind of needs to be held on. You got it on a table, have a little bit of clamps and cables here holding it together. But it's coming along nicely. The tough part now is going to be doing the angles on the side and getting that to come up as well on another angle. So lots of measuring, hopefully measure twice, cut once. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so hands down, this is going to be the toughest part of the project. I have to cut a piece of wood that's going to go from here to here, taper down here to here. The problem with that is that this line is not parallel to this line. So if I cut it, it's going to rock a little bit. It's wood, it's forgiving, so it's not going to be perfectly flush, but I think it's only going to be off enough where I'll be able to drill it in, and it will fit nice and flush once I get it done. But by far, this is going to be the toughest part to measure. So what I'm going to do is, instead of cutting up a bunch of plywood and ruining all my plywood, I have some Bristol board. I even have some cardboard. What I'm going to do is put this on here. I got some thumbtacks, and I'm basically going to put this basically where I need it, and I'm going to guess a few places. And I'm going to put the thumbtacks where I need the wood to touch, and I'm going to try to cut this paper into the shape of the wood I'm going to cut, use it as a template, put it down on the plywood and cut that. So now that I've got it pinned in place, basically I found the 4 edges of the piece of wood that I want to cut. So basically I'm going to cut this piece of paper from here to here, cut this from here to the edge right here. It's actually going to go further when I actually cut the wood, and then here to here. Actually, I have to make a point to add that. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Just going to drill this into here, drill it into here. Now, because the top slides down, it's not a perfect fit like I was saying. So there's actually about a 1-inch gap here. But like I said, wood is flexible enough so I will be able to just screw that in there and get it to be flush, and I don't think it'll be a problem. So, all things considered, I'm actually pretty happy with the way that turned out. So in theory, before I screw this on, I'm going to cut out another piece and it'll be the exact same on the other side. In theory. One of the last cuts that I have to do is this small triangle here. It's a bit of an odd shape, so what I did is I have some foam cord that I got from the dollar store. I just clamped it up here. I'm just going to go by sight with a sharp blade. Just going to follow the edge. And this will just be kind of this is just going to be a guideline. Let's see what I can do here. Okay, it's not too bad. Again, this helps instead of wasting plywood and making a bad cut. Again, I want a bit of a lip. I almost want this to be like shingles. If you think about it, when you're doing a roof, you start at the bottom, you work your way up, and the upper layer always overlaps the lower layer. So in theory, the water is going to run off the roof, off here, and onto the ground, and hopefully out of the inside of my camper. So, pretty happy with that. I'm going to draw this on a piece of plywood and cut it out, see how it works. Okay, so the shell is pretty much done. We have a panel up top here that is 26 inches by 46 inches. The distance up top here is the distance between the hydraulic supports for the glass panel that pops up in my cap. So that's as wide as I could go up top there. I made it overhang here, and overhangs here. And that's done on purpose so that when the door is shut, the water will drip over. I'm going to have some weather sealant on the doors and that sort of thing, but just the overhang makes it that much better to keep the water out of the cap. Eventually I'm going to sand this down, fill in the holes, that sort of thing, and I'm going to paint it white. Then I'm probably going to coat it with a marine grade Varathane, that sort of thing. So it should be very waterproof and protected from the weather. It should stand up pretty good with that sort of treatment on it. So the next step is going to be, I'm going to make some barn doors. So there's going to be 2 doors. Again, it's going to be a little tricky because I'm going to have to angle them. I'm basically going to open this up, and when the door shuts, I'm going to have to make sure that there's some weather stripping so that, again, the water doesn't drip in there. So that's the next step. But so far, so good. I'm pretty happy with it. I've put it in the truck multiple times just to make sure it fits. It's a little, I wouldn't say flimsy, but the wood at the bottom, I could have gone with a thicker plywood, but I want to put actually some hardwood on the top of it, so I didn't want to make it too thick. So once I put the interior surface on it, it'll kind of firm it up a little bit more. So yeah, so far so good. Next step is the doors. Okay, so this is going to be the bottom piece, this is going to be the top piece. To make it easier, I'm actually going to build 2 doors, but I'm not going to cut this wood until they're both together, until I have the vertical pieces on. That'll just make it easier to construct it. So I'll have 2 pieces here, and then later on I'll just rip this, and I'll have 2 doors, but I'm going to build it as one, just to make it easier. But something I thought I would mention, because I'm putting another surface on here afterwards, I have to make sure that this is a little bit above this, and then the plywood's going to come over top and fill that gap. But like I said, I want to put like either a fake hardwood or something on here that'll look nice but still be durable, because obviously it's going to get really muddy and that sort of stuff, right? But just thought I'd mention that. So that's going to be raised a bit. This is going to be above here. I'm going to build 2 doors, so I'm going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces of wood vertically. And then I'll worry about measuring the angle here. Okay, so this is the door. I'm doing barn doors because this would be too heavy just to have hinges on one side of it. This is how it's going to fit. Roughly it fits pretty good. So I'm happy with that. And it looks like a tight fit, but what I'm going to do now is cut here, here, and here, because there needs to be a good size space, and to be quite honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what the exact measurement it is, but because this is offset and it goes back a little bit, when I swing them open, if they were just two flat pieces of wood, it would open no problem. But because those ones are almost behind, they're going to swing back and they're going to be more prone to touch each other. So I'm going to be forced to have a bigger space between the doors that I'm going to fill with foam, weather stripping, that sort of thing. So to be honest with you, this is the part where it's kind of a bit of an experiment, how much gap I have to have between the doors for it to open that way. But roughly this is what the doors are going to look like. Like I said, I'm going to cut here, here, and here, put the hinges on, and before I put the plywood on, I'll be able to see how they swing out and how much room there is. So we get an idea of what they look like. Okay, this is roughly the framing of the doors. That's the way they're going to work. Now I'm going to put the plywood on them. And the gap between here is just between the framing, but I could actually put the plywood a little closer. You can see what I mean by this swinging out more. Not so much here, but here. This would clip. If they were any closer, I wouldn't be able to open it. So I have to have that space there. And I can always have an overlapping second piece to cover the gap. I haven't decided how I'm going to do it with the weather stripping. So now I'm going to sheet this with plywood. But so far I'm pretty happy with that. It's going to be good. Still a little wiggly there a bit, so that affects it, but it's wood. That's the way it's going to be. See, what's nice now is I've been able to put the plywood up a little higher, and there's a huge kind of overhang here, almost 1.5 to 2 inches, so that when the water comes down, it's going to come down here, so I won't need to worry about water creeping in this way. So I completely guessed, but it looks like I got it pretty good, where when this closes, it's just missing the plywood here. So that's not too bad. Okay, that's the first layer of paint. I'm gonna wrap this video up here. There's more to do, but I'm gonna do that on another video. There's going to be some weather stripping put on here, some hardware, gonna put some LED lights in, some vents. There's a lot more to do, and then I got the whole interior to finish up. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe. I'll be doing a few more construction videos on this, and I can't wait to use the camper on some trips. I have a lot in store. My channel, if you're new to it, is a little bit of everything. I'm in the process of building a log cabin on another location away from where I live, and that's an ongoing project. I do a lot of camping, fishing, hunting, cycling, a little bit of everything. So if you subscribe thinking this is just a truck camping channel, it's a little bit of everything. So I just wanted to give you the heads up on that, and I appreciate the support. So please subscribe, and cheers, thanks.